going on? I am the Broken Puppet, and today I'm teaching you about drawing realistic roses. Now, if this video helps you, make sure you click subscribe and click the little bell button next to it to get notified whenever I pop a new video. I have new videos every single day covering all sorts of topics. Now, this one is how to draw a rose, and I'm going to cover three main points for this: how to put up form, how to shade it to make it look 3D, and once you're looking 3D, how to texturize it to make it look realistic. So yeah, cover 3 points in this fairly quick tutorial. So yeah, sit back, enjoy, and have fun, people. Right, people, how to draw a rose and make it realistic. Now this one starts off with the basics and goes in a little bit more advanced as well. So I'm going to start off with a big circle. This is just going to basically be where I do the image inside of this, so this is kind of like a border. Now for the centre part of the rose, I'm going to start off with this egg shape, a little bit flat on top though. And I like to make sure it's a bit of an angle, because when you see roses, they're normally a bit of an angle. Now the bottom bit, I'm going to have this first kind of like, overturned petal. So I can do a straight line across, 2 semicircles connecting it. And that's going to be like your base one. And once you've got your base one, you want to have one that's going to cut through it. So this one I'm going to go diagonally up, a much thinner one cutting through. And then you want to sort of start creating the top part of the bud. Basically when it gets to the top part of this, it's going to sort of swirl around. So you create a curved one like this to create a base. So then you have a circular part in the middle. Inside that, I'm going to create another little curve just like so. It kind of just builds up the effect of like being layers of roses. Now just here off the side, I'm going to have a little sort of another overturned petal. We're going to start off with smaller ones coming around it and slowly build up as we go further around. And I like to do two different kinds. So we have the pointy ones which we have originally, and then you have these big curved ones. So this one here is going to curve up and around, coming around. So it's going to curve all the way around the back of the petal. And then you have the smaller one on the side, just like so. Just kind of build up the shape a little bit. And then you can have like the outside petals. And when the outside petals, you want to sort of think bigger and a bit more kind of shapely, a bit more fun, really. So I'm going to sort of go quite triangular with this one. So I'm going to build these sort of like triangular shapes around the outsides. Just trying to build up interesting shapes. And I like to have, one bigger one right at the base. So the bottom one's going to come off the circle part at the bottom, coming off, and a bit of a square kind of motion coming down. You can have it circular as well, but I like a nice big base one at the bottom. Another little box shape just down the side to make another one. And you see I'm trying to make each one a bit individual, a bit different. And then you have these two ones here just to fill our background part, just there. Because you want it to feel like slightly circular, so if there's little spaces aim right, you want to add a few little more. I'm going to start adding some leaves around the outside. I'm going to start with these sort of 2 curved shapes and a little line back. Starting basic and we go more detailed as we go. And you want to position these out. You want quite a few around it to kind of build up, it makes a nice contrast, especially in black and grey, because where the rose is going to be quite light, we can do the leaves quite dark, and it really kind of make it stand out nice and bold. So see here, I just took about 3 different angles and just put a bunch of leaves just in those bits to kind of build it up. 2 to 3 in each little section is a nice number, to be honest. So we can start getting a bit more detail now. Now we kind of got the skeleton built up around there, when it sort of faded down, it's start getting a bit more detailed. So you're just making the shapes a bit more kind of curvy. Every now and then a little dip just here and there, a few more bumps. You don't want it to be straight edged. You want like, little bumps and dips, because it's a rose. It's an actual real life item. It's not, perfectly straight. So when we've got those straight edges, we're going to keep sort of just bending them up and twisting them. So see here, where I bring this line up to the top, I make that top edge not perfect. So it comes a little point, and it's a little bit bumpy as it comes around and comes back around. Here I'm bringing up the shape of these. Again, I'm not making those straight edges, perfect. Sort of curving them just a little bit, little dips here and there. I've got little lines going up through the centre. That's going to be where you're going to have like a little dip inside the leaf. We're going to talk more about the structure of leaves, because the petals rather, because the petals have got a lot more structure to them than people realise. The leaves now, I gave like this nice sort of jaggedy edge, and I put this line just going through the centre of each one. And now we've got that done, we can start with a bit of shading. So I'm going to start off with this kind of grey tone in the centre. And I'm putting in there fairly bold to begin with, and we're going to come in with darker tones. So you see I've got that base bit there, got a little highlight. And when we've got these petals, I'm going to be focusing mainly on the underside of the petals and leaving in highlights. So where this curved one goes up there, I've got a nice highlight just going through the centre of it and going around the outside. Now this is grey, it's going to be the predominant grey in most of it. And I'm going to come in and go darker and darker and darker. You can start a little bit lighter than this if you want, but I think this is a nice grey to start with. So again, through these petals, I've sort of got a base bit of grey coming through the centre. And on the edge parts, just to give a sense of curvature to them, you bring a little strip of grey just across, and that grey will give that sense of curve. Like here, across that centre bit, we have that grey across the bottom and that highlight at the top, and that makes it feel like it's bent and it's curved. Now this one, I've done a grey going from inside that little line we done. Because I said the idea is we want to make it feel like it's dipped, it's curving around that inside petal. So that petal bit in the middle is sitting inside that space. So you have grey coming from the outside, upwards, with a highlight on the outside. And don't forget your shadow. So where the petals sit above here, you can see on those 3 sections there, I've got a shadow where it falls. Now it's kind of like imitating the shape of the petal above, just fading outwards. So that's the basic grey structure. Going to start going with the dark now. So I'll just turn down the line work a little bit. So you kind of rub out line work a little bit and start coming a bit of a darker grey and focusing more on the shadows now. So here, just on the underturn of the petal that comes across that centre part, we have dark grey underneath there. In the corners, we're going to give it a shadow fading outwards. We're going to have it there. And just anywhere that kind of sits underneath and fading out. You know, I mean, where we've done the greys before, we kind of build off of those greys. So here, on the bottom part of the petals, we're going quite dark now on the bottom part of the petals, you know, to kind of build up the structure. And again, this just reinforces that sense of 3D-ness to them. And then that's what you want. So put it here, this part's going to sit underneath and quite far in. So I'm going to make this quite dark because it's kind of tucked away. And because it's tucked away, it's got a lot of shade on it. So it's going to be a bit more darker on that under part. Now again here, I'll just start adding a little bit of shadow. So where that overturned petal comes there, just on the right hand petal, you can see that little bit of shadow just imitating the shape. And on the left hand side, you can see I've dragged down that shade because that part of the petal would be covered in shade. Now again, just building it up piece by piece, mainly on those inner parts. Now that bottom petal, you can see we've got grey going across the bottom bit and across the upper part where you kind of got a shadow on the top. I've left a little highlight just on the inside part of it. Now the leaves I'm going to go quite dark to begin with. I'm going to add the lights afterwards. And just to bolden the shape now, and that big oval, the big circle, I've basically got a shade coming in from the bottom left hand corner, just fading across, but a little bit dark behind it. And this is going to really help reinforce the shape of the petals because they're quite light. Especially on the top bits where they're light around the edges, because where it's light at the edge, you basically want to reinforce that with dark shadow on the outside. Now you can see I'm starting to add more detailing now on the third layer. So coming in, I've got a much darker bit coming in over pretty much over the shadows we just done, just a little bit further in, and I've had a few little streaks just to kind of give almost like veins, you know, sort of to the plant, you know, to the rose. You know, so these little kind of veins are going to give that realistic kind of sense of structure to it, and you kind of just follow the sense of the petal, the direction. You know, going a bit left and right. You know, sometimes they can join up. You know, the centre part, you got quite dark, so I'll put in black right in the centre bit, and just leave a little bit on those turns, you know, where it sort of feels like it's underneath, I'll put a little dark shadow. But you're doing that just to get the sense of depth to it, so you want that dark centre in the middle, because it's going to give that sense of depth to the centre. And now we just gone over all the greys we've done, and we basically just come back a little drop with a darker shade just fading off of those. So you see that little part there in the middle, you know, where it's set back, we've gone quite dark around the edges now, and that really makes that feel like it's set further back into the image, which is what we want. Now just here around his outside petals, we're just reinforcing it and just slowly building up a little bit darker shade where we need it, just building up a little bit by little bit until we feel like it's got the right sense of curvature to it. You know, at this stage think curvature, and then afterwards think texture. You know, that's the way it should work. So now we've got to sort of, you know, the curvature, we can think about texture. So here, through that centre piece, and the other one, we've got that grey going through the middle, and using an upward downward motion, it kind of gives us more sense of curve and a bit more sense of like I said, texture to it. You know, the way you kind of get the bumps and the veins in the plants. Like here on the outside petals, we have these dark shades just kind of fading out in strips. And this gives a sense of curve, like dips inside it. You know, because the actual petals are not perfectly smooth. They're not perfectly flat. You know, sometimes they can be. But in drawing, you don't want that. You know, a flat, smooth surface isn't no fun. So it's going to keep creating those little dips and just following the curve inside the petals. And just bringing a backwards and forwards motion. Just slowly building it up. You know, going up and down, with a nice strong highlight just across the top parts. You know, so you can get your razor out if you want, you know, to reinforce that. So you see this bottom petal, I'll just darken that part again, and now I'm going to start adding sort of texture into these last 3 petals. So I'm just building that shape, come down from the centre bit, curving outwards. So kind of pick a point you want to curve from, and curve out. Now I quite like to make quite a dark one through the centre bit, so you get that sense of dip right in the middle of that petal. And as it goes across a bit more, as it sort of goes more to the left, you want a bit more dark on the inside, because of the angle building up. And then once you've got that, you know, like think, you know, your greys again, come in with another set of greys and just reinforce the shape, just so you kind of get a sense of kind of realistic, you know. You can up the contrast more if you want, you know, but I like to do this, bring in the greys and then get my razor, come back and erase the highlights. You know, and I think you get a much better sense of the highlights if you do that. So you can see just around the outside of the petals, I've got little highlights just around the strips of them, just those little lines around the very edge, and that just separates the petals from the dark background parts. So see leaves in the background, I've got a little white strip just come down the centre. And then what I'm doing here, I'm just picking out a line, come across it a bit of an angle, and fade the white downwards. And just keep doing that section by section over the black of the leaves. And that will going to give a sense of realistic kind of structure to them. You know, it's the little grooves, it's the indents, it's the veins in the leaves, you know, and it will kind of sort of tell that story in a nice simple way. So just find a curved line, fade outwards, and just keep doing that. And it kind of creates this bump texture coming the whole way through it. And don't make the lines parallel. I like to make them a bit uneven. So one will sort of curve a bit more than the next one. The other one will curve a little bit more than the other one. You know, some might leave a bit more of a highlight in spaces. You know, people kind of randomize a bit. You know, just once you've got that done, just get your, like, you know, your pen, your eraser and stuff, and just keep dabbing it in little areas. And you'll find little highlights to work it out. Every time you find one that works, just kind of remember, okay, that one really worked for me. And now we've got that, I'm just going to rub the outside part of the outside line, just clean up that shape. So we've got a nice border in there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So the idea, I said, you know, just focus on form first, getting the curvature to it. So focus on curvature first. And once you've got the curvature the way you like it, and you kind of got the leaves and the petals all feeling like they're in the right place, then start to think about texture. And with texture, you basically, like I said, you want the texture to be the bumps, the grooves, the veins, the little creases. You know, so pick your lines, shades off of that. You know, once you start to add those, and once you start to realize how they work, you know, it takes a little bit of practice. But once you've done, every time you do one and you sort of look, okay, and you think, no, this one worked, you know, stick with that, learn that, apply that to your next one. You know, keep sort of, you know, focusing on what works and what doesn't. And after you've done a few of these, I promise you, you got like a really good sort of system going, and you're about to whip up realistic roses in no time. So yeah, I hope this video has helped you people. Comment, like, subscribe. Any advice you guys have as well, drop below. I am the Broken Puppet, and I'll see you next time. Peace.